Today I want to talk to you about the 15 pieces of clothing I no longer buy after much trial and error throughout the years of making mistake purchases. I know we've all heard time and time again to not buy acrylic and polyester knitwear, to not make impulse purchases during a sale. So these are some oddly specific, very niche things, not the general things you hear all the time, that I have learnt not to waste my money on. Winner number one is anything with an exposed zipper or a zipper as a design choice. I really cannot get past a zipper looking just cheap and tacky 99% of the time. It reminds me of these skirts that were popular when I was growing up. They were the bandage skirts, and do you remember they always had that really chunky silver zipper up the back? So tacky, and I just feel like 99% of the time an exposed zipper or a zipper as part of an aesthetic choice looks bad. Now obviously I don't avoid zippers 100% of the time. In my jackets and coats, that's fine. If they're more utilitarian, if it's a barn jacket or a leather jacket even, it can have a zipper. But often when you buy a jacket with a zipper, it is usually more concealed, it's discreet, it might have buttons to cover it, so it looks a little bit more premium. So I never really understand a zipper as part of the design choice. Now there is an exception to this. I think very occasionally you can find something that's tastefully done. The Suzanne Tobias jumper is a good example of this. I really do like this sweater, and I feel like the zipper is tastefully done. It has that pretty jewel on the end of it to give it a little bit of design detail. I can get behind that, but 9 times out of 10, I just want to avoid an exposed zipper. Any jeans with heavy or excessive veining. I found over the years testing lots of different denim styles, lots of different pairs of jeans, that anything that has a very heavy or significant veining at the hip just isn't the most flattering. If you don't know what veining is, it's those horizontal lines that are around the upper thigh, the hip area. I'm not sure the purpose of them, whether it's to make jeans look distressed or more authentic, but either way, I found that they just emphasize that area. If you are someone like me who has wide hips already, they're gonna make your hips look even wider and make them a focal point on your leg, which is not necessarily what you want. So I found that I much prefer a cleaner look, something that is either a dark wash or a light wash denim that has very, very minimal veining, or preferably, honestly, none at all. Multi-purpose clothing items. What I mean by this is that clothing that is advertised as being able to be worn 73,000 different ways. You can wear this top as a halter neck, you can wear it off the shoulder, you can wear it strapless, you can wear it one shoulder. I just feel like most of the time this is a complete gimmick, and actually these tops or these pieces of clothing don't look good in any of the different ways you can wear them. I feel like the compromise is always on the fit, the quality of the clothing, because so much effort has gone into the multi-purpose nature of this top, when in reality it would be much better to just have a top that can be worn one way and look really good that way. So if anything is advertised as being multi-purpose or 6 different tops in one, I tend to steer clear of those. This also goes for those jackets where you can zip off the sleeves and wear them as a gilet. Nice in theory, 2 in 1, but in reality, it usually just looks a little bit naff. I've already said how I feel about exposed zippers, but beyond that, I just feel like it never looks quite right either way, and I would much rather have one gilet and one jacket, and I wear whichever one I fancy that day, because who is honestly going out into the world and randomly taking off the sleeves of their jacket? This is one I learned the hard way recently, and this is polyester or viscose clothing, specifically usually skirts and dresses without a lining. I got this really pretty monsoon skirt. It was 100% polyester, but I thought, you know, it doesn't really touch my body. It's a floaty skirt. It's not going to bother me. But what I forgot to realize, what I've learned time and time again, but somehow seem to forget, is that this kind of polyester, this very light kind of drapey polyester, in theory does look nice. It drapes quite well, but it clings and is static so easily, and there is nothing I hate more than a static piece of clothing. I would rather wear the scratchiest wool jumper in the world or a top that was 10 times too tight than have a piece of clothing that has even a chance of getting static throughout the day. There's nothing worse than that feeling, right? And I just find that anything that is polyester or even sometimes viscose, or honestly even sometimes silk, in those very flimsy silks, can very easily become static, and especially if they aren't lined, or if they're lined in polyester as well, you're just doubling up on the polyester and making it even more likely to be static. And that's exactly what unfortunately happened when I wore this monsoon skirt the other day. It's one of those things that immediately makes me want to take the piece of clothing off and never reach for it again. This J. Crew sweater has been so popular this season. It's gone viral. I've seen so many people styling it, and I do love the look of it. It's pretty, it's preppy, it's cool. But any piece of knitwear with a rolled hem, I avoid like the plague. This rolled hem, whether it's on the neckline, on the bottom, on the cuff, it just tends to fray. As soon as this goes through the wash, or even if you hand wash it, it will start to unravel itself, it'll start to unpeel, and you end up with this really sloppy looking edge or neckline that is fraying. It just doesn't last very well in my experience. And so for this reason, anything with that roll neck, especially in a knitwear form, is an avoid for me. I also want to avoid anything with a glitter thread or a lurex sewn into it. If you've worn anything like this in the past and it hasn't been lined on the back to stop that glitter thread scratching at your skin, you'll know how uncomfortable and irritating it can be to wear. And I just personally find that also a metallic-y thread, a glitter thread, 9 times out of 10, just makes a piece of clothing look cheaper and more tacky than it needed to be. It's almost always better without, and that's not even including the scratchiness factor as well. So if I see anything that has these very subtle glitter threads in it, whether it's a jumper, it's often festive pieces or special occasion like party outfits, even summer dresses sometimes have that metallic thread in them, I do tend to run a mile because I know how uncomfortable they can be to wear. I really detest a trouser or a jean that doesn't have real functional pockets, both on the front and on the back, especially on the back, because there's something that is quite flattering about a pocket on the back of a trouser, and without it, it looks oddly bare and unfinished in my opinion, and just less flattering in general. I especially don't like those fake pockets where it's like a line of material you think you're going to be able to put your hand in, but actually there's nothing there. It's cheap, it's cost cutting, and it doesn't look as good. Now, I've definitely bought my fair share of linen pieces in the past, but what I've learned from wearing them over the years is that linen, very creased, undone, lived-in look tends to look very sloppy on me. I think it depends on your essence and your style, your demeanor, but some people can really pull it off. They look chic, they look undone, they look relaxed, they look like they just woke up and put this on, but it looks good. Whereas on me, it tends to just read as messy, like I didn't iron my clothes or I'm still wearing my pajamas. And I don't know, I just think I would much rather have something in a cotton or a viscose or a silk or a wool that isn't going to look so crumpled after about half an hour's wear. So for the most part, I do tend to avoid linen, even in the summer. I much prefer a cotton dress, for example. I do occasionally wear a linen trouser, especially when I'm on holiday. I do feel like when you're on holiday, you can get away with that more relaxed, undone look. But when I'm at home, I will go for a cotton or any kind of material really other than linen these days. Another quite niche one, but one that I really tend to avoid, are cardigans without any closures or buttons. I remember trying a cardigan from Suzanne a little while ago that was like this. It was a mohair cardigan and it was beautiful. I loved the colour of it, but it didn't have any buttons and it almost just felt unfinished to me. It was like they'd forgotten to put the buttons on. And this is more a style preference rather than anything to do with quality, because it was a lovely cardigan, but there's something unfinished and undone and not quite right about a cardigan, in my opinion, without some kind of button, detail or closure. Not only is it less practical, you can't wear it done up if you want to, you get less different ways that you can wear it, but also, as I said, it just doesn't look quite right in my eye. Although I know some people really like this cardigan, so each to their own. Any clothing that comes with a belt attached. Now, sometimes this is a pair of trousers. If you buy from like a cheap store, they might come with a pleather belt attached to them already. Or sometimes when you buy, for example, a knitted dress and it comes with a knitted belt sort of sewn into it, I just feel like they never fit quite right. They never sit exactly where your waist is on your body because everyone's proportions are slightly different. Everyone has longer or shorter torsos, or they're just really poorly made and end up going in the bin, which is such a waste of resources and material. One item of clothing I do love the look of, but I refuse to buy, are oversized bell sleeves, especially in knitwear. I love a 70s moment. I love a boho vibe. So a bell sleeve is right up my street, but if you've ever worn one, especially in a heavyweight jumper, you'll know they are wildly impractical. If you're cooking in one of these bell sleeves, or even just eating, or dare I say it, just going about your day, you are inevitably going to dip this in something, you're gonna swipe it past something as you walk, it's gonna get stained and marked, and I just don't think they are very practical, as good and as fun as they do look, especially when you're wearing a coat over the top. If you're wearing a big thick jumper, chances are you're going to have to wear a coat outside, and it can be really difficult if you've got all of this excess material at your wrist to actually be able to fit a coat over them. So for those two reasons, as much as I do think they look cool, I do tend to avoid them. I was looking to update some of my loungewear recently, and I was amazed at how difficult it was to find any loungewear at all, any sweatshirts or joggers or sweatpants that didn't have some level of polyester in them. I want, when I'm looking for loungewear, 100% organic cotton. It's gonna wash better, it's gonna wear better, it's more breathable, it's more comfortable, it's just better all round, so it feels better to wear, and it is so difficult to find. Even when you're looking at these more eco-friendly or natural fibre focused or B Corp brands, often their sweatshirts are still cut with a small percentage, even if it's just 10% polyester. It was so difficult for me to find some good quality sweatshirts and joggers that didn't have any of it in it. Now I did find some from Chelsea Piers. It was one set. Most of their sets do have polyester, but they had one set for some reason that was 100% cotton, so I went with that one. But yeah, I wish more brands would focus on cotton sweatshirts and joggers, because I'm not going to be buying anything with any level of polyester in it. I also recently got a slightly different loungewear set from Organic Basics, which is also 100% organic cotton. It's in more of like a waffly texture, but it is really comfortable. In at number 15, the final item on the list is overly cheap or suspiciously inexpensive cashmere. I'm thinking of brands like Quince, where don't they advertise their cheapest cashmere sweater is $50? And I think there's a reason why no other brand is offering a cashmere sweater at $50. It just isn't sustainable at that price point. You are ultimately, inevitably, going to be sacrificing quality, even if they don't tell you that you are. I've seen sweaters like this in person, and they are incredibly thin, so they aren't actually providing that much warmth to your outfit, which you tend to want from a sweater, but also they pill really quickly. Must be something to do with the thin fibers, the cheap cashmere. They're gonna bobble and pill almost instantly, and when you are shaving them, combing the pills out or debobbling them, you're gonna be making that sweater even thinner and thinner, to the point where it's not gonna hold up for many years. And when you're buying cashmere, when you're investing in a piece like that, you want it to be something that is going to last for 5, 10, or even 15 years.